gets a bit weird when you're around. You just say there while I'm asleep, and it feels kinda creepy, sir. Plus, I could infect you, Jungkook mumbles. Mr. Kim chuckles and flips a page in his book. Nothing bad will happen if you infect me, no, but I mean, like it's still creepy, sir. With you just sitting here while I'm asleep, don't worry about it, the man says with a smile, engrossed in his reading. I've found the doctor's recommendations, so in a couple of hours, I'll give you more medication. And I should probably check your temperature again. He furrows his brows, examining Jungkook's forehead. His hand rests there for a few lingering seconds. Suddenly, he leans down, pressing his lips to the boy's forehead. Jungkook's heart skips a beat due to the unexpected close contact. He holds his breath, feeling Mr. Kim's lips on his skin, his own heart racing. No, I should definitely check it with a thermometer, Mr. Kim mutters as he gets off the bed and walks over to Jungkook's side. He retrieves the thermometer from the nightstand. I couldn't have done it myself. You didn't have to get up, you know, Jungkook protests softly. But Mr. Kim shakes his head, grinning as he asks, will you open your mouth for daddy, baby boy you? Stop it, Jungkook grimaces. You're only bearable when you keep your dirty talk to yourself, Mr. Kim. Taehyung rolls his eyes, but his smile doesn't fade. He takes the thermometer, places it in Jungkook's mouth, and grins. Good boy, Jungkook scowls playfully, folding his arms across his chest. Mr. Kim chuckles and leaves the room, promising to be back shortly. Jungkook watches him go, contemplating the unusual turn of events. Why is Mr. Kim taking care of him when he's sick? His life seems to be resembling some art house film. Before the thermometer can beep, the man returns, holding a small plastic box in his hand, which he places on the nightstand. He takes the thermometer and checks the result, his eyebrows furrowing. It's still pretty bad, he sighs. How bad? Jungkook inquires quietly, stretching his neck. Taehyung puts the thermometer back into its case, brushing it off. 132.58. It's too early to give you more pills since it hasn't been long since you took the previous ones, Taehyung states, looking somewhat discontented. Anyway, I brought you something. You probably aren't very hungry, but, he gestures vaguely, smiling at Jungkook as he retrieves the small box from the nightstand. Dessert. Do you want some dessert? Jungkook raises his eyebrows in surprise and offers a faint smile, nodding hesitantly. Taehyung's smile broadens, inwardly gratified that Jungkook is accepting something from him. He returns to his spot on the bed, handing the dessert to Jungkook along with a small spoon. It's banana caramel, Mr. Kim continues. Jungkook smiles a bit more openly, nodding. Thank you, Jungkook replies, his voice slightly hoarse. He takes a small bite with the spoon and closes his eyes in bliss. Mr. Kim, it is so delicious. Like, really, really tasty. I've never tried anything like that before. Delicious. Mr. Kim chuckles good-naturedly, raising his eyebrows. Jungkook nods enthusiastically and readily takes another spoonful. Yeah. And the cream is so. I don't know how to explain it. Jungkook softly laughs, licking his lips, which are coated with sweet remnants. It's so soft and creamy. And it wraps my throat. I think it even makes me feel less of the soreness. I'm glad you like it, baby, Mr. Kim says, pulling Jungkook closer to forehead briefly. Instead of resisting Mr. Kim's touch, Jungkook lets him cradle his head covered by the hoodie, distracted once more by the dessert. Mr. Kim doesn't rush to end the touch. I'm really sorry that you got sick, Mr. Kim says a bit quieter and more seriously. I know it's not my fault, but now I think I shouldn't have left you in the morning to wake up alone while you were feeling unwell. Jungkook clears his throat, swallowing a small bite of dessert, still savoring the taste of mashed banana, cream and biscuit. When I woke up, my head was heavy, and I wasn't thinking very clearly. You weren't here, so I didn't even remember right away that I had already woken up when you got out of bed in the early morning. I read the note you left, but I don't know, I felt so unwell that I fell asleep again almost immediately. Although the bed was cold. Wow. Jungkook wants to justify his unexpected honesty by attributing it to his fever, and he diverts his gaze to the dessert box, poking at it with his spoon. Were you cold in bed without me? Taehyung purrs teasingly, finally leaning back a bit and peering into Jungkook's eyes. Really, baby? Did you miss having me by your side? I'm sure you wanted to snuggle up to me again, didn't you? Shut up, Jungkook huffs, and Taehyung grumples something unintelligible before softly chuckling. My boy missed me. Oh, so there must be something pleasant about this day after all. Please, sir, just shut the hell up, Jungkook grumbles angrily, abruptly shoving a spoonful of dessert into Taehyung's mouth. Taehyung is momentarily surprised by the unexpected gesture, but, with his lips smeared with the dessert, he smiles as he pulls back. Jungkook doesn't even notice when Taehyung's finger dips into the box, and the next thing he knows, his cheek is smeared with a bit of white cream. Hey! What are you doing, Jungkook? Exclaims in annoyance, as much as his hoarse voice allows, while scrunching up his face. You can't tell me to shut up, Jungkook. That's disrespectful, Taehyung replies. As if you're being respectful this whole time, he protests indignantly. I actually shared my dessert with you, and you're smearing me with cream. You didn't share dessert with me, Jungkook. You literally shut me up with a spoon. I shared. Oh, really? Taehyung raises an eyebrow, suddenly grinning, leaving Jungkook staring at him with disbelief. Well then, maybe you'll give me a bit more? This cream is so delicious, baby boy. I think I want more. What are you? Jungkook doesn't get to finish his sentence because Taehyung unexpectedly cups his face and pulls Jungkook toward him. Cream from his cheek. Mr. Kim. Jungkook squeals, trying to stifle his laughter, as it unexpectedly tickles him. He makes a few unsuccessful attempts to break free. No. Come on. Enough. Stop. What's the matter? You can't be so greedy with me, Jungkook, Taehyung playfully scolds, grinning. Jungkook, with a mischievous smirk, scoops up more of the dessert with his spoon, intending to smear it all over Taehyung's face. However, Taehyung intercepts his wrist, causing the spoon to slip from Jungkook's fingers, and then he topples Jungkook onto the pillow, looming over him. Don't be so greedy with me, Jungkook, Taehyung repeats in a deliberate whisper, his voice almost grazing Jungkook's lips, and the boy breathes heavily. It's unclear whether it's due to the infection in his lungs or proximity to this man. Sir, I dropped the spoon, Jungkook liberates himself. How did he think that was the first thing he should say out loud? I couldn't care less. Taehyung shakes his head, still gazing deeply into his eyes. And, you're very close, sir, the boy swallows hard. I'll infect you. It's not worth it. Taehyung nods, and his gaze slides down to the boy's lips, still slightly glistening from where Jungkook had licked them after the dessert. If you only knew how little I care about that, Taehyung continues to whisper, his voice soft and barely audible, returning his gaze to Jungkook's bright eyes, so pure and innocent. And then he gazes at his lips again. Mr. Kim. Jungkook. Chest rises with each heavy breath, and he loudly swallows, moistening his lips. What are you doing? Taehyung barely shrugs, trying to ignore the dizziness from the mere thought that Jungkook is lying in his bed with him hovering over the boy's body, keeping a distance of just a few inches. It's even more challenging for his fantasies about the boy. Taehyung's voice grows husky. Just thinking about how many more pleasant things I could make you feel in my bed. Much more enjoyable than banana dessert. Jungkook almost gasps at the statement, and his gaze seems to waver as he continues to stare into Taehyung's darkened eyes. Something unfamiliar tightens in his stomach. Sir, Jungkook whispers, could I have some water, please? It's hard to breathe. Taehyung closes his eyes, exhaling loudly into Jungkook's lips. He takes a few deep breaths, trying to calm. For a moment, he considers the possibility that all of this is merely a product of his obsessive imagination, and there is no Jungkook underneath him. But he can still feel the boy's wrist in his grip, and his other hand resting on the pillow next to Jungkook's head. He can still feel Jungkook's breath on his lips. This is no fantasy. And that makes him want to scream in frustration even more. If only you weren't sick, he murmurs in disappointment, finally reopening his eyes. If only, Jungkook, Mr. Kim. Please. I'm very thirsty, Jungkook interrupts with a small voice. Taehyung sighs once more. Yeah. Of course. He carefully dismounts from the boy, shaking his head to clear it of the intrusive images, and exits the bedroom. He retrieves a water bottle left on the kitchen table. As soon as Taehyung leaves the room, Jungkook exhales loudly, covering his face with his bent elbow, and almost silently. Damn, what the hell was that? He mutters to himself, trying to make sense of why his heart is pounding so loudly, reverberating in his ears. And why there's such a burn, especially after the words about how Taehyung could make him feel much more enjoyable things in his bed. Jungkook swallows, trying to calm, and hears the footsteps as none other than Kim. Taehyung returns to the room. Are you okay? Taehyung asks with an unusually hoarse and raspy voice, but Jungkook doesn't remove his hands from his face. He simply nods uncertainly. Yeah. Yes, just feeling a bit lightheaded. I think it's because of the fever. Jungkook was never good at lying. However, Taehyung, in his current disarray, barely notices it, for better or for worse. Here's your water, Taehyung says, opening the bottle for him and placing it on the nightstand. He then takes the dessert container from the bed and starts to put it away. After that, he retrieves a headache pill from a small container. Sweetheart, he clears his throat, hearing how his voice sounds, and approaches the bed from Jungkook's side. Please, take this pill. It'll help with your pain. Jungkook lets out a weak sigh and nods, extending his free hand. But he doesn't seem to feel anything on it. Just open your mouth, Taehyung mutters wearily, standing over him. His heart skips a beat when Jungkook, still hiding his own eyes behind his hoodie sleeve, obediently opens his mouth, sticking out his tongue slightly. Taehyung unconsciously swallows.